안녕, 안녕, 하이, 皆さん、はいて嬉しいですね。Welcome to my channel. This is Devil M. わ、はははは、はははは。 네, 이 사람이 10년 동안 살았는데, 그 이제 홍콩에도 살고 중국 여기저기도 돌아다니면서, 근데 이 남자가 10년 동안 살면서 중국 본토, 중국은 이제 본토죠, 본토. 홍콩은 넘어갔으니까 이제 홍콩의 어떤 한 일부가 되고 자치구 정도 되겠죠. 특별하시고 이혼도 하고 홍콩 여자랑 뭐 중국 사람이랑 결혼도 하고 생활 많이 하고 이혼도 하고 그렇다고 자기는 플레이보이는 아니래요. 어쨌든 간에 이제 좋아서 결혼도 했지만 이혼도 했고 또 다시 또 다른 여자하고 결혼해서 살면서 중국에서 겪은 여러 가지 얘기를 해주는데, 내가 보기에는 여기에 나온 단어들을 보면 10분에서 15분 동안 얘기하는데 정말 그렇게 어려운 단어 없는데 우리는 왜 이렇게 얘기를 못할까요? 물론 이제 네이티브가 아니까 얘기를 못하겠지만, 내가 보기에는 이 사람이 하고 싶은 얘기가 있는데 그 앞이나 뒤에 살을 붙이는 것 같아. 그러니까 본론만 가지고 막 얘기하는 게 아니라 본론을 얘기하기 전에 뭐 이런저런 얘기, 그러면서 본론을 얘기해. 그러니까 딱 봤더니 우리는 너무 본론만 얘기하니까 말이 상당히 딱딱해지는 것 같아. 그러니까 뭐 여기서 뭐 가장 많이 쓴 게 윤호를 많이 쓰고, 윤호는 상당히 많이 쓰고 잘 알고 있다시피 윤호 같은 거는 워낙 유명하니까 많이 쓰는데, 그거 말고도 또 많이 꽤 있더라고요. 꽤 있어. 그런 것만 잘 캐치해도 말을 되게 부드럽게 할 수 있는 어떤 요령이지 않나 싶습니다. 이렇게 15분 동안 얘기하는데 어려운 단어가 뭐가 있냐 한번 보면 대부분 거의 다 알 것이고, 기본 단어에 다 들어있는 게 대부분. 그리고 뭐 shoulder to shoulder 하면 어깨와 어깨 해서 협력하여, 또는 어깨를 나란히, 또는 어깨가 부딪히니까 밀집하여, 그런 거랑 work shoulder to shoulder, 서로 협력해서 일하다. blown away 같은 건 많아. blown away 미국 속으로 감동시키다.
So this video is going to be shot a little bit outdoors and a little bit indoors. Right guys, now before we start talking about the differences between mainland China and Hong Kong, let's first of all get a couple of things out the way. Number one, I think I'm fairly qualified to talk about this subject because, first of all, I was married to a Hong Kong girl and divorced. I've been living here in mainland China, in Shenzhen, for just almost 10 years now. I'm like a month or two shy of 10 years. And living here on the border of Hong Kong, I've crossed over many times. And like I said, having been married to a Hong Kong girl, I've been to Hong Kong a lot. I've got friends living in Hong Kong. I know how it works very well there. And I also know how mainland China works very well, as most of you know from watching my videos. Of course, I've been all over mainland China. I'm not just stuck in a little bubble here in the south in Shenzhen. So I know pretty much everything the mainland has to offer, and I know pretty much what Hong Kong has to offer. So that's the first thing I wanted to get out of the way. Okay, second thing I really want to get out of the way is that this video is not about politics. I know that it's a very big sort of, what would you say? It's a point of contention, and there are lots of people who are very upset about the whole Hong Kong China thing. People in Hong Kong have very strong opinions. People in mainland have very strong opinions. People from the outside world have very strong opinions. That's not what this video is about. This video is purely about if you, as a foreigner, want to come and live in Asia or in China, and you are torn between choosing Hong Kong or mainland China, this is the kind of video that could help you. But it's not only for those kind of people, it's also for people to maybe understand better how it all works, because it is quite confusing, and for people who don't live here and people who are unaware of the political situation and the situation here in China, they might be quite confused, and they might not realize that how different Hong Kong is to mainland China and vice versa. What I'm going to talk about first is the obvious. Hong Kong and China, although it is one country, two systems, that's what they call it anyway. Hong Kong used to be a British colony, and it was handed back to China in 1997. For all intents and purposes, Hong Kong is a different country to mainland China. Now, the reason I say this is you actually have to pass over a border, and you have to go through two sets of customs in order to actually get into Hong Kong. You need to produce your passport. You need to have a different kind of a visa to get into mainland China, and you need to have a visa, or, if you're from a visa-exempt country, different rules apply when you go into Hong Kong. So, you can't come to China and expect to just walk into Hong Kong. It doesn't work that way. It is still a different country. as far as like practicality is concerned. Let's talk about cost of living. All right, let me give you an example. I'm sitting here at a restaurant outside. I can have a couple of beers and have a meal, and it will probably cost me anywhere between 30, 40, maybe 50 RMB max. If I were to have a similar meal in Hong Kong, it would cost me about 120 to 150 Hong Kong dollars. Basically, food and drink is a lot more expensive in Hong Kong. Of course, there's a reason for this. Hong Kong being an international city and so on, there are certain standards. So, this beer that I'm drinking now, well, it's very possibly fake. Yeah, it doesn't taste all that great. It's very possibly fake. Who knows? The food quality here as well, you never know what you're getting. Of course, food here on the mainland is amazing. It tastes great. You can find so many different things to eat, so many awesome things to eat, but you never really know if the quality of the food you're eating is good or not. And on many, many occasions, I've eaten stuff which is dodgy, or, I know it's not well prepared, or it's dirty, or I've drank fake beer on numerous occasions. So, you take that risk. So it's a bit of a balance. In Hong Kong, it's a lot more expensive to go out and eat, but over here, you take the risk of having something that's maybe tainted or poor quality. The money is different. Here I have a 20 Hong Kong dollar note. See if I can get a focus on that for you. Okay. Now, you get different kinds of notes, actually, which is kind of interesting. This is a Standard Chartered Bank note. And then over here we have an HSBC 20 Hong Kong dollar note. As you can see, they are different, but they actually have the same value, etc. All right, here I have a 10 Hong Kong dollar note. Give me a second. I quite like this one because it has this little see-through thing over here. It's quite interesting. And it's made out of plastic, kind of like Australian money. Okay, back. All right, mainland Chinese money is the RMB, not the Hong Kong dollar. Here we have 100. They all look the same. You don't get different variants of the RMB. I've got a whole video about money. If you guys are interested in looking at Chinese money, there's a video. I'll put a link down below. Okay. Right, so money is different. So also it's something to bear in mind if you're going to go to Hong Kong or if you're going to go to mainland China. Remember to change your money. Being an ex-British colony, of course, when you drive in Hong Kong, you drive on the left-hand side of the road, which is opposite to here in China. So, China, like America, you drive on the right-hand side of the road. But just like South Africa, Australia, and other British colonies, in Hong Kong, you drive on the left. So, steering wheel's on the other side in the car can be a little bit confusing for some people. Let's talk about language. Now, first of all, in Hong Kong, people speak Cantonese. Here in mainland China, people speak Mandarin. There are parts of Guangdong where people speak Cantonese as well, but, Hong Kong has its own sort of special variant of Cantonese. On top of that, here we use simplified characters. In Hong Kong, traditional characters, just like Taiwan. You'll also notice that all the signs are bilingual, both in Chinese and English, which is great for a foreigner because you can read everything. Another thing that's really useful for foreigners is most people can speak English in Hong Kong. If you go into a 7-Eleven or any shop, the shop assistant will usually be able to speak at least a marginally good level of English. In fact, I've been embarrassed a couple of times going into Hong Kong and I try to speak to them in Mandarin because, of course, I can't speak Cantonese. And I'll go up to a 7-Eleven, a shop attendant or something, and I'll ask them in Chinese, like, how much is this? And they'll reply, oh, that will be $12, sir. So, they can understand Mandarin to a degree, but because of the whole, sort of situation that goes on this side of the world anyway, they prefer to speak Cantonese or English in Hong Kong. Let's talk about food for a moment here. Now, Hong Kong is an international city. It's a travel hub, and because it's also an ex-British colony, it has all the international brands. It has an amazing selection of international foods. You can find any kind of food that you want there, be it British food, American food, Indian food, Mexican food, all the kind of food that we are accustomed to in the West. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that if you went to New York or you went to Hong Kong, you'd probably find pretty much the same kind of choice as far as food is concerned. Now, you have to bear in mind that in mainland China, although there's a massive selection of Chinese food and so many different interesting, awesome foods to eat and try, mainland China does Western food poorly. it's really, really, really difficult to find any kind of good Western food over here. So that's something you should take into consideration. If you like cheese and you like Western food, things like that, you know, Hong Kong's definitely the place. Next thing I'm going to talk about is a bit of a point of contention for me, and that is internet and internet freedom. Here in mainland China, everybody knows the internet is filtered. It goes through the Golden Shield project, it's called. That's the official name. You know, everybody calls it the Great Firewall of China. But basically, all the major Western websites are blocked. Things like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Blogger, WordPress, any kind of big, influential website. Google, in fact, all Google is blocked. You can't even do a Google search here. There are ways around this with VPNs and so on and so forth. That's how I get my videos online. But of course, it's a pain in the ass. It's slow. It's unreliable. But in Hong Kong, of course, you've got high-speed internet. It's completely unfiltered and completely open. So that's another thing to take into consideration. If you go to Hong Kong, I actually quite like that. I pop over the border. If I have my phone, suddenly all my Google apps update. I can use all the functions of my phone correctly. But as soon as I'm over here, it's just all a complete mess and a real pain in the ass. So, you know, that's just one of the things you trade off living in the mainland. But I'm going to now give you my own personal feelings on living in Hong Kong and living here, and why I personally choose to live in the mainland instead of in Hong Kong. Why do I choose to live in mainland China instead of Hong Kong? Because, you know, the option was there for me. I was married to a Hong Kong resident. I could have actually, you know, gotten citizenship and all that, because like an international country, that is an option, whereas mainland China, for a foreigner to get a green card is a practical impossibility. Although it's theoretically possible, it's actually not. Anyway, why did I choose to live here instead of Hong Kong? Well, Hong Kong is an amazing, beautiful city with so many different things to do and so many options, and all the international bands play there, and you know, it's like living overseas, and that's basically why. Mainland China is a lot more of an adventure. It's very different to the Western world. Things work completely differently here. So if you're out there to have an adventure and to see new things and to experience completely different things, mainland China is definitely a better bet. Although you must be prepared to be thrown completely out of your comfort zone, because, you know, that's what China's all about. So that's reason number one. Reason number two, the cost of living. It's really, really, really high. If you want to live the same sort of lifestyle that you live in mainland China, you need to have at least 30 or 40,000 Hong Kong dollars a month salary, whereas somebody earning 8,000 or 10,000 RMB here in mainland China can live the same, you know, sort of quality of life. And by that I mean purchasing goods, saving money, paying rent, you know, enjoying yourself, going out and drinking. So cost of living is just so much higher in Hong Kong. It's a very, very expensive place. And I'd hazard to say it's one of the most expensive places in the world. Of course, there's a lot of money going around Hong Kong. Most Hong Kong residents are fairly well off. But, you know, it's a big pressure. And, you know, when you come and live here in the mainland, without that massive financial pressure, you can actually really relax. So it's a much more relaxed lifestyle here in mainland China. Next reason is population density. Now, everybody knows that China's got a massive population, right? But it's not that apparent actually when you live here. There are lots of people everywhere, and compared to your hometown or your home country, you're going to be blown away. You're going to be like, what's going on? There are just people everywhere. You know, there's not a single time a day that you don't see people. Go outside now at like 3 a.m. in the morning, there'll be people. But Hong Kong, because it's so small, has a massively high population density. So, you know, when you're walking out on the street, it's always crowds, there's always queues, it's always really difficult to go anywhere. If you want to go to a restaurant at dinner time or lunchtime, there will always be a waiting list. There'll be people sitting on chairs outside waiting to get into the restaurant. Here in mainland China, not so much. Even though there's a high population density, it's not the same. You can go to a restaurant at dinner time, there'll always be a table. There won't always be this sort of shoulder-to-shoulder crowding everywhere. So that's something to take into consideration. Right guys, I hope this video has helped you make up your mind as to where you want to go. If you want a big adventure, come to the mainland. If you want to have a really interesting, still an adventure, but a really interesting, good quality of life, Hong Kong's also a really good bet. It's entirely up to you. If you have questions, please leave them in the comment section below. I'll get back to you. And I will be making a video on how to actually cross the border into Hong Kong in depth in the future. So if that's what you were looking for, it's coming. That's it really guys. Until next time, stay awesome.
네, 이 사람이 10년 동안 살았는데 그 이제 홍콩에도 살고 중국 여기저기도 돌아다니면서 근데 이 남자가 10년 동안 살면서 중국 본토, 중국은 이제 본토죠 본토. 홍콩 넘어갔으니까 이제 홍콩이 어떤 한 일부가 되고 자치구 정도 되겠죠. 특별하시고 이혼도 하고 홍콩 여자랑 뭐 중국 사람이랑 결혼도 하고 생활 많이 하고 이혼도 하고 그렇다고 자기 플레이보이는 아니래요. 어쨌든 간에 이제 좋아서 결혼도 했지만 이혼도 했고 또 다시 또 다른 여자하고 결혼을 하면서 중국에서 겪은 여러 가지 얘기를 해주는데 내가 보기에는 여기에 나온 단어들을 보면 10분에서 15분 동안 얘기하는데 정말 그렇게 어려운 단어 없는데 우리는 왜 이렇게 얘기를 못할까요? 물론 이제 네이티브가 아니까 얘기를 못하겠지만 내가 보기에는 이 사람이 하고 싶은 얘기가 있는데 그 앞이나 뒤에 살을 붙이는 것 같아. 그러니까 본론만 가지고 막 얘기하는 게 아니라 본론을 얘기하기 전에 뭐 이런저런 얘기 그러면서 본론을 얘기. 그러니까 딱 봤더니 우리는 너무 본론만 얘기하니까 말이 상당히 딱딱해지는 것 같아. 그러니까 뭐 여기서 뭐 가장 많이 쓰는 게 윤호를 많이 쓰고 윤호를 상당히 많이 쓰고 잘 알고 있다시피 윤호 같은 거는 워낙 유명하니까 많이 쓰는데 그거 말고도 또 많이 꽤 있더라고요. 꽤 있어. 그런 것만 잘 캐치해도 말을 되게 부드럽게 할 수 있는 어떤 요령이지 않나 싶습니다. 이렇게 10분 15분 동안 얘기하는데 어려운 단어가 뭐가 있냐면 보면 대부분 거의 다 알 것이고 기본 단어에 다 들어있는 게 대부분 그리고 뭐 shoulder to shoulder 하면 어깨와 어깨 그래서 협력하여 또는 어깨를 나란히 또는 어깨와 어깨가 부딪히니까 밀집하여 그런 거랑 work shoulder to shoulder 서로 협력해서 일하다 blown away 같은 건 나눠 blown away 누구 속으로 감동시키다 날려버리다 또 있고 hazard 같은 말 hazard는 좀 어려운 익숙하지 않은 좀 위험 또는 뭐뭐의 원인이 되다 우연 hazard 그 다음에 comfort전 이건 많이 나죠 9월 comfort전은 많이 나오는 것 같아 편안한 곳 쉴 수 있는 곳 그 다음에 다지 DODDGY 다지 우리나라 발음에 다지 그럼 다지 할 때 그 다지 속임수 쓰는 scam 뭐 저기 리포 뭐 그런 속임수를 많이 쓴다 그 다음에 베리어스와 같은 거 여러 가지 가까이 드물게 변하기 쉬운 그 다음에 퀄리파이 스톱 그렇게 15분 동안 얘기하는데 10대 개도 안 돼요. 이 중에서도 아마 상당히 아는 사람은 다 아는 것이 많이 있다고 생각해요. 근데 상당히 뭐 15분 정도 얘기하는데도 과연 이 정도 얘기할 수 있는 사람 몇 명이나 될수 있을지 그리고 딱 들으면은 아마 대부분 많이 들릴 것이에요. 대부분 뭐하고 막 그런데 이 사람 스크립트랑 하나하나 다 해석해보면 좀 뭔가 많이 다른 듯한 느낌이 들 거예요. 뭐긴 뭔지 아는데 해보면은 좀 다른 그런 느낌이 있어요. 어쨌든 간에 내가 이런 거를 하면서 한 가지 얻은 것은 말 중간중간에 좀 살을 붙이면서 얘기를 하면 좀 부드럽게 얘기를 할 수 있는 뭐 그런 것이 있지 않나 생각이 들어요. 전체적인 중국 생활하면서 자기는 이렇게 중국에 대해서 얘기할 자격이 된다 이거. 왜냐면 중국이나 홍콩 여자랑 결혼을 해서 했기 때문에 무엇보다든지 더 잘한다 이거죠. 본토인하고 살았기 때문에. 이제 그 말을 이제 딱 앞에다 심어놓는 거죠. 내가 이런 말 할 자격이 있다. 그래서 뭐 홍콩 친구들 많이 있고 중국하고 홍콩 왔다 갔다 하면서 그리고 또 그다음에 비자 문제랄지 뭐 패스포드 문제랄지 그리고 중국하고 홍콩하고 비교를 하는데 홍콩은 국제적인 도시이기 때문에 스캠, 따지, 이런 속임수나 짝퉁 같은 게 별로 없는 듯한 느낌인데 중국 같은 경우에는 홍콩에 비해서 똑같은 맥주라도 3분의 1 정도가 싸다고 해요. 3-4배 정도. 그리고 중국엔 조금 짝퉁이 좀 많지 않나 그런 얘기를 하고 생각보다는 중국이 짝퉁이 있긴 있는데 꽤 쓸만하다는 얘기도 해요. 그런 얘기랑 또 이제 홍콩 달러랑 중국 돈 그러니까 홍콩이 이제 영국 식민지를 받았기 때문에 도로를 우리 이제 그 좌측통행 우측통행 그런 것좀 영국 그 어떤 그런 체계를 갖고 돈에 투명하게 매기는 호주랑 홍콩이 영국 지배를 받았기 때문에 비슷한 느낌의 돈을 갖고 있다. 뭐 화폐. 그리고 음식들 얘기를 쭉 하고 화폐 얘기 많이 하고 쭉 이제 그런 얘기 그다음에 뭐 그 나라의 어떤 랭귀지 언어에 대해서 얘기하고 그런 얘기하고 아마 다들 그렇게 알고 있을 것이에요. 크게. 그리고 나서 맨 그때 인구밀도에 대해서 얘기하는데 사람들이 워낙 많으니까 부딪히는 일도 있고 뭐 그런데 뭐 재밌어요. 근데 어디 가서 여행 가서 이 정도로 얘기를 할 수 있으면 거의 원어민이 되겠죠. 원어민. 15분 정도 쉬자고 막 얘기를 할 수 있다면. 근데 이렇게 어려운 단어 하나 그리고 내가 보기에는 내가 느낀 건데 말을 잘 하고자 싶으면은 절대 어려운 단어를 공부를 해서는 말하는데 크게 도움이 안 될까. 물론 중간중간에 이제 강하게 말하기 위해서 그런 단어를 쓰기도 하는데 내가 보기에는 그 기본적인 1500 정도 되는 1500에서 2000 어쨌든 그 단어 속에서 크게 벗어나지 않는 것 같아. 보통 얘기를 하는 데 있어서. 물론 이제 드라마적인 어떤 구어도 있고 영화적인 구어도 있고 일상생에서 쓰는 구어도 있는데 내가 보기에는 거의 안 쓰는 것 같아. 거의 써봤자 블로너웨이 같은 거 하나 쓰고 커플업 이런 거는 구어라기보다도 거의 그 말이겠죠. 어쨌든 간에 말을 잘하려면은 무언가 좀 다른 방법이 있지 않나 생각이 듭니다. 네.